It's been a beautiful day. I'm going to ask Mr. Leon Fancher with the Russellville Area Ministerial Alliance to lead us in prayer. Will everybody rise and remain standing for the pledge? Thank you.
Father in heaven, how wonderful it is that we have you that we can call upon in times of need and requests, not only to thank you for all that you've done for us and are doing, and for our city and even for our nation. God, we live in some frustrating moments in our universe and our system and our nation, with a lot of things going on that's disturbing a lot of people. And we ask for your favor, Father. We thank you for always being with us, and we ask that you would be with us as a city, as a state, and a nation, and the world, that we would look to you and trust you, because you are the only one that we can really trust. So we do that, and we ask you to be with the council meeting tonight. Let your blessings flow smoothly, and all things be done that you would be approved of, Father. And we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please be seated. We need to approve the minutes from our February 20th special call meeting and the March 4th meeting.
Make that motion, Your Honor.
Second.
All those in favor of that, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The mayor's report, I'm going to step to the back of this room for just a moment. Moment.
Excellent report, Your Honor.
Thought you'd like that.
Motion to accept.
Great. Okay. At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. McCoyne to give the financial report.
Finance report for February. General fund revenues were $1,252,900, 3.46 above our year-to-date projections. Sales tax receipts were $767,782. Franchise fees and permits were $384,214. Expenditures were $995,247. That's 6.4% above our year-to-date projection. We have receipted $50,452 less than receipted at this time. Operation expenses for the street fund were Operation revenues for the street fund were $118,701. That's 10% below our projections. Sales tax receipt were $635,667, 0.21% below our projection. The new half-cent tax brought in $42,373. Operations for the street fund were $147,767, 0.9% above projections. Sales tax was $694,087 on the North Phoenix and East H projects. There was no capital expenditures. Economic development, the revenues were $93,865. Of that, $90,809 was sales tax and $3,055 interest. Our expenditures were $2,305. Capital assets revenues were interest, $276, and a $4,305 bond forfeiture. Expenditures were $418,447. That was in community development, parks, police department, and an airport. Current balance is $436,085, and the building fund is $349,242.
Any questions? Thank you,
Thank
Mr. McCoy. Thank you, Mr. Vernon.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to share with you my 2013 yearly report. During 2013, the Animal Control Department, during business hours, received 1,626 calls. We responded to 151 after-hours calls. We received a total of 1,164 animals. We collected $11,995 in adoption fees, $4,067 in fines, $11,923 in donations, and collected $80 for the city license program, which brings a total to $28,065.
Any questions?
How you doing at the
Thank
room?
Do I?
How you fix the room? Space.
We're full.
Anything in the works? Any plans?
We've been talking about it.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
one question. Mr. Vernon, did I see a little note, maybe a department head meeting report or something recently where you're working on some kind of a certificate or something from AEDQ relating to your yard waste out there?
Yes, you have to have a licensed operator on site,
Right.
and I've already been through the first 2 levels, and I've received a certificate until I pass the 3rd stage or go to it. And right now I've got that, and we're not getting written up for not having a licensed operator on site now.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Vernon.
Thank you.
Any reports outside of that? A&P Commission. We have a request here to appoint Mr. Tyler Riley, who is manager of Hampton Inn, to the Advertising and Promotion Commission, recommended by Mr. Horton.
Mr. Mayor, I met Mr. Riley today. I actually met him a couple of weeks ago, but he attended the A&P meeting today. He seems like a real sharp, real engaged, and seems very interested in serving. On behalf of the A&P committee, I strongly recommend that we appoint him to fill this term.
Very good. You make that in form of a motion.
I do, sir.
All right.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Item number 2, consideration to appoint Mr. Wesley White to serve as an at-large member of the Board of Adjustments, recommended by the Planning Commission, Planning Department.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, gentlemen and lady. Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We met on the 11th for our first regular scheduled meeting. That meeting produced a few items that we need the council's blessing on. In your package, you'll note items 1, 2, and 3, appropriations. Finance Committee recommended all of those to the council for approval, and we make that in the form of a motion.
All those in favor of that motion say aye.
We met again tonight. You should have a copy of your packet. Items 1 through 5 are appropriations. All of those passed the Finance Committee. We recommend those to the full council in the form of a motion.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
The final item that needs actions is a resolution authorizing the city clerk to apply for and accept a mini grant from Blue and You Foundation for the city's employee wellness program. We recommend that in the form of a motion.
All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Mayor, that's
Mr.
all we
Horton.
have.
Okay.
Mayor,
Mr.
The Finance Committee
Stewart.
have met, and the purpose of our meeting was to explore the possibility of hiring another full-time engineer. And we're, at this point in time, I think we're going to meet tomorrow afternoon to have another meeting. But we're in that process.
Okay.
That's all.
Anything further? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Okay. Unfinished or old business, consideration of an ordinance pertaining to capital improvement projects.
Been withdrawn, Your Honor.
Has been withdrawn.
Has been withdrawn.
Okay. Thank you. Unfinished number 2, consideration of an ordinance amending the zoning code for the city.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second to, is this the third reading?
Yes.
All right. So we'll need a motion to read by title only or such as that.
Motion to suspend the rules and read by title only. Just short explanation. Second.
Okay. All those in favor of that motion to suspend, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
An ordinance to amend the zoning code for the city of Russellville, Arkansas, ordinance number 1966, and for the purposes this ordinance, if passed, would amend the zoning code to add a new section under Article 3, Section 3.23 regarding the regulations of campgrounds in effect by providing a list of definitions that would apply to recreational vehicles that were in the city of Russellville, and spells out the dimensions and location and the standards for the vehicles in those campgrounds within the city of Russellville.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Would you read the roll, please, Ms. Collins?
Mr. Martin Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Tripp,
Yes.
Ms. Freddie Harris. Yes. Mr. Stuber,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Richard Harris,
No.
Mr. Seth Irwin.
He's absent.
Motion carries.
All right. Thank you. New business. Number 1, consideration of a resolution to issue a special use permit to allow a mechanic shop for property located on East 14th Street with certain conditions. Unanimously recommended by the Planning Commission with those restrictions. Is there a motion regarding
Motion
that?
to adopt, Your Honor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. New business 2, consideration of resolution to issue a special use permit to allow a used car lot for property located on East 4th Street, submitted by Mr. Danny Delano.
adopt.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. New business 3, consideration of a resolution requiring the removal or razing of an unoccupied dilapidated structure located on South Ithaca.
Motion to approve.
Well, the only thing I'd want to point out is the owners did call, and they said they were not able to attend tonight, but they could attend at the next meeting if you want to have any discussion with them before approving this or not.
Well, you suggesting that we put it off? Otherwise, this, any discussion requires a motion and a second.
I'm just saying that that's just something they put out there.
Did we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay. Let's make the discussion legal.
Anyway,
Well, I'm not opposed to putting it off. Although, frankly, we probably ought to put it off and give an opportunity to appear before us. So, I'd make the motion to postpone it until next month.
Second. We've got a letter here from them saying that their contractor is supposed to start in 4 days, so I'll go along with that.
May we?
Yes.
May we ask Bruce a question?
Certainly, May.
Have they started on this like this letter says, or?
Their contractor is scheduled to begin demolition of an outbuilding and an A-frame structure that is attached to the side of the house on Monday, the 24th of this month.
Okay.
what's
Bill
the
Clark
history?
and I are fine with this agreement. We agree that we should postpone this and see where they end up this time next month, and if we need to bring it back, we'll put it back on for you all to consider.
Have they applied for their permits, Mr. Moore?
Not yet, they have not.
Okay.
The husband is out of town on a nuclear, what do they call it? Outage.
Mr. Moore, how long has the code enforcement office been working on this particular?
Probably started last month, I would say.
Well, that's not very long.
Okay.
No, it's just started. So
So it
they've
hadn't
been
lingering for 6 months.
they've been
or
really
anything?
attentive to contacting us and letting us know what's going on
Okay.
with it. The house had been rented for 7 years actively, and the tenant has just vacated the property, and I think there was some damage done when they left. So we're good with it if you all are.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to postpone until next month. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. New business number 4, consideration of a resolution adopting a solid waste agreement with the city of Russellville to apply for the next 5 years, etc. I do know that there are some people here who want to speak in regard to this in several respects. So I would like to have a motion that we get to that point, please.
Motion to adopt, Your Honor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion before the vote?
Mr. Moore, if you don't mind, we did make some changes to this contract over the original contract. Would you care to tell us just briefly what they are?
The main changes that were made from the last contract, 5-year term, to be incorporated into to what we hope will be the next 5-year term, would include whoever gets the new contract would be required to have a manned phone locally. Now there is a manned phone, but it also rolls to a call center in Texas, and we want to move away from that and have a manned phone for the citizens to be able to contact someone local here. It just makes better sense for all of us, and I think it's a much better service for the citizens when they have problems. The only other big major change to the contract was the incorporation of the city corporation contract, which originally was a separate contract. Attorney Smith has decided that we would be best served by pulling that contract into this contract, so it would be a three-party agreement instead of having two separate contracts. Those are the main changes that we've decided on.
Okay. Thank you. I do know that some other people want to speak in regard to this. Since this last item that was mentioned, I know Mr. Steve Mallett had requested to speak in regard to that with City Corp.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the council, my staff and I, along with our legal counsel, have looked at the contract, and it is a little bit different, obviously, than how we've been operating, where we've had a separate contract with the city outside of the contract that you've had with the waste management. We're okay with doing that, but I think there's some things in here that we would like a little bit more time to comment on. We've looked at it over the last couple of days. I think we received it on Tuesday. There's a few things that don't really align with the way we're doing things now. And if we're going to change, we probably need to address that. I don't want to come out of this with some programming changes that need to be made for the sake of making change. So I don't think there's anything big in here, anything that's going to take a whole lot of time to work out. But if we had a little bit more time, again, I'm not sure what the deadline is for this, but if there's any way we could have a little bit more time to visit with the city attorney and some of our folks, just to kind of iron out those few things, be much appreciated. And I think maybe that would help kind of streamline this thing down the road. So I would just ask if it was possible for this portion of it to be delayed until the next meeting, and I'm sure we could take care of that without any problem.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Mallett?
Mr. Mallett, I'm sorry, these are technical issues with...
Just the way we do some of the bill collection and fee collection, it's different than what we're doing now. There were some issues with how we collect the delinquent accounts. We've been doing that on their behalf. This puts it back on them. That's fine with us. We want to make sure that they're okay with it, and that's what's intended. There's actually a place where it kind of conflicts, and we're not really sure which direction we're supposed to go. We also have a portal where Waste Management can go in and actually make some changes. We just worry about collecting. We don't do as much of the reset fees and adjustments. They do all that through the portal, and whatever's due is what we collect. Some of this would kind of defer back to us, where we'd have to actually put those fees on there, take them off, and Mr. Smith may have done that with the intention that Waste Management doesn't get the next contract. We may have to talk about that. It may be what we have to do going forward, but for now, that's not the way we've been doing it, and we'd like to stay with the way we've been doing it, if at all possible.
Well, okay. We did the contract based on what we thought would be the best interest of the citizens of the city of Russellville. The contract, as far as who the next hauler is not going to be negotiated. It just is what it is. But I guess I'm not, can we do that? I mean, can we?
Well, we didn't write it on the anticipation that Waste Management would be the one.
I understand that, but I mean, can we hold off on the incorporated city portion of it?
I think we should do that until the questions that they have meet muster all the way around. Also, Mr. Mallett came to me and talked about that the funding on this would go through from them to the city, and then the city to the hauler, and that kind of puts another individual, that being the city's finance folks, in the middle of taking some action as well. So we may want to look at that again a little more. Anything else for Mr. Mallett?
Well, should we just maintain a separate contract with them for the time being? It really seems to me like the city corp portion, and as we stand right now, City Corp and the city of Russellville have a contract.
That's correct. That's right.
So we can operate that way. We've got about 6 months.
Yeah.
6 months
Till September.
It seems to me like we can work that part out a lot easier than anything else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've got time. We can do the 3 readings. We've got time to do all of this if, whatever. So, okay, thank you.
This
There's-
presents in the form of a resolution. Is it resolution
Yes.
or ordinance?
Resolution, yeah. Don Osmond has asked to speak in regard to this, so Mr. Osmond.
Thank you, Council, Mr. Mayor. I am Don Osmond. We are here representing DC Trash Service right here in Russellville and Dwight Dacus. And Dwight had every intention of being here tonight, but due to a family emergency, was not able to make it. And he asked me to express his sincere apology for not being able to be here. We would appreciate the opportunity to be able to place a bid with the state, with the city of Russellville, on the residential solid waste. And as most of you are probably aware, we are centrally located right here in Russellville, and our territory extends from Benton and Bryan area all the way to the Oklahoma state line. And so again, we would appreciate very much the opportunity to be able to place a bid with the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Osmond. Anybody have any questions? Mr. Osmond? Okay, thank you. Mr. Wheatley, I think you asked.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I'm really here to speak on the last item on the agenda, but my comments as far as the proposed new contract, our company is reviewing it. We have no issues with the contract. We would like to see the city ordinance on solid waste to make sure the way that we're currently operating is in compliance with that ordinance as well as our current contract, because it does refer to that in the new proposed contract. But I do want to be called back on item number 11.
Okay.
I think that is what we're doing. One of the things we are doing, Mr. Wheatley, is making certain that the ordinance and the contract dovetail nicely. Isn't that correct, Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Llewellyn?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm here on behalf tonight of the West River Valley Regional Solid Waste Management District. I guess best way to start this is, I don't got no dog in the hunt as far as who hauls it, okay? It doesn't matter to us, that's something that we do. The city of Russellville is a part of the solid waste district. It's a 9-county district, goes from Morrilton back to Van Buren and from Perryville back to Walden. We run a recycle center in Clarksville, Arkansas. Back when y'all's first contract went out, the material started coming to us because we're close. We didn't charge tipping fee. Y'all are in our district. We felt it was part of our duty to help y'all. Okay. During the contract, the material started going to Little Rock. There was nothing we could do about it because there was nothing in the contract to prevent it from moving from our facility down there. All I'm here tonight is to ask that the material be brought to us. We'd like to see it put in the contract that y'all would help support the district, because the district has helped support Russellville over the years with the drop-off centers, and education and recycling and stuff like that. We would just like to see that portion of the contract reworded where the material could be brought to Green Source Recycling, which is the district-owned facility.
Okay. Any questions of Mr. Llewellyn?
Is there any monetary benefit for the hauler to take them to Little Rock? Take it to Little Rock?
If they're, other than feeding their own system, I don't know how there would be, because it's farther to go to Little Rock than just come to Clarksville.
Do we have, we're not under some contract with West River Valley
No, sir, you're
District,
not.
are we?
No, sir, you are not. Not in any shape, form, or fashion.
And I'm assuming that the decision to begin to take it to Little Rock was the hauler's decision based on the fact that they have a facility in Little Rock. Is that?
Yes, sir. I believe it was.
Mr. Llewellyn, if I may for a second, is there any material that your facility cannot handle as far as a recycle program goes?
The way the recycle program is currently set up, no, sir. We helped set that portion up. It was asked of us what we could take at our facility. And as far as I know, y'all don't take glass in your single stream here, correct?
Well, that was my next question. Are you able to take glass?
I can take it, but I do not take it in single stream. I would set up.
What is single stream?
Single stream is what you pick up at your curb.
Okay.
That's what we consider it in this industry, is single stream. It's all mixed together.
So if it was hauled to your facility, that would not be an option as far as residential pickup for recycles?
As far as collecting glass inside, no, sir.
Outside of glass, is there anything else? Let's go back to the common term as a soiled pizza box with grease on the bottom of it. Is your facility able to take that?
Yes, sir, we do.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. So we do have a motion and a second in consideration of this, and we've been asked during the discussion to possibly delay this until next month to take action on it. Would that motion be amended
I
to
would,
do
yes,
that?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Be amended to postpone it till next month. That'll require another meeting of the
Solid Waste Committee. Yes, sir. We have a second.
So that,
The motion is to table.
Yeah, yes, sir.
I'll second that.
Okay.
so we're not going to bid it out? So
No, this is just a contract.
This is the next item
only the
down the road. Yep.
So it's not going to delay the process?
No.
No. All those in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you. New business number 5.
Mayor, I withdrew this
Okay.
after a conversation you and I had off due to your assurance that the council would
All right.
start receiving a little bit more prior knowledge regarding capital improvement projects
Thank you very
in the
much.
city.
I appreciate that. Okay, new number 6. Consideration of a resolution to set a public hearing, and that public hearing within the resolution is set for the 17th day of April of this year at 6 p.m. here at the City Council. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
This is about
This has to do with
West
the
2nd Street, right?
request, yes, request for closing a portion of that street by the Warrens.
Are we discussing this?
Well, I didn't hear a second. Do you want to get into the discussion?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a second to that motion.
And then I'd like
Yes,
to
sir.
ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Is this not the street that we talked about a year ago, possibly opening up?
yes, sir. Talked about opening this from Walmart to Phoenix, right?
There was discussion on that. You're correct.
It currently runs from Seattle to Phoenix.
Right. So really, we'd be opening it from Seattle to the parking lot then?
Correct.
Okay.
The public hearing might bring out some insight in regard to that.
You know, this has still got to go before the planning commission for approval.
That's correct.
And I personally don't see a reason to go forward with this ordinance, not knowing if the planning commission is going to support or defeat this.
Well, it's a resolution just to set a hearing
For next month.
for next month, and that'll need to be done.
If the planning commission doesn't go forward with their proposal,
See, that has to be done before it can go to the commission, as I understand it.
Can I jump in?
Yes, sir.
Because all you're doing tonight is setting a date for a public hearing, all of this discussion should take place at the public hearing. You'll have the planning commission's recommendation. I just think it'll be an artificial thing to not, if you turn it down now, you're basically saying we'll turn it down without a public hearing.
That's
So
correct.
just, you'll be subverting your own process. So Please
I
just set
disagree
the
with
hearing.
Mr.
I disagree
Harris.
with that,
If
Mr. Harris.
the-
What would
if
we
the-
do is
If it
is
hasn't gone through the planning commission yet, then we don't know that it's going to pass, then the public hearing would be useless.
The planning commission only makes a recommendation, and their participation in this is not even required by the state of Arkansas. That's the Russellville ordinance from several years back.
Whatever we do here tonight, Mr. Harris, will be the administration of the legislative process. And that's all.
My point is, because you're only setting a date for a hearing, if you...
Motion to call the question.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to close the discussion on this. All those in favor of that motion say aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Let's get a roll call on that, please.
Exactly what are we voting on here?
We're voting to close the discussion regarding this request to move forward with setting a public hearing.
Mr. Martin Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Richard Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
No.
Mr. Seth Irwin,
No.
Mr. Tripp,
No.
Ms. Freddie Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Stuber.
No.
It takes 2/3.
Motion
Takes-
fails.
Motion fails, takes 2/3.
Mayor, what happens if we don't pass this? What happens if we don't set this tonight?
Say that again, if we
What
don't
happens
set
if we
what?
do not set this public hearing tonight?
Well, we just denied a request by a citizen who has asked to have this request that they've made considered, and basically have short-circuited their options to do what they're asking. And it's whatever y'all want to do, but if there is some other consideration, that's up to y'all.
Why don't
It
we
has
wait
to, it
until
has
the-
to go before the planning commission.
Why don't we wait for that?
But what happens if the planning commission approves it?
We just, the
It
hearing.
comes back.
Then it would come back here, yes. It would have a public hearing, and then it would come back here.
Would we not set the public hearing if the planning commission passes it? I mean, what's the, Mr. Smith, what's the due process here?
Well, you're setting it in anticipation for a recommendation that's going to occur next Monday, and it's to also keep so that you don't wait and see and waste a month in between finding out in April and setting the next available public hearing in May. It's just simply to not stretch out
Expedite.
this process.
I don't remember us doing this way in the past, is my
Oh,
point.
yeah.
We have
This-
yes.
Setting
A
the public
number of
hearing
times.
before the planning commission takes
Yeah,
action.
that's,
All you're doing is
few
setting
times.
the hearing. You're not making any decision on it, and it has been done this way before.
And if the planning commission denies it, what happens then?
Nothing.
they can appeal to us, as we have had in other things.
So then the next month's meeting, per se, we would have a public hearing and an appeal, both. The public hearing would happen no matter if the planning commission approves it or denies it, assuming that the requester appeals the denial.
It wouldn't be an appeal. The planning commission makes a recommendation, and it comes to you folks either way. I think I'm correct on that, Mr. Smith.
It's a recommendation, so they can it's going to come to you as the final decision, like zoning.
If I may, I believe, Mr. Harris, last week, wasn't that the way the discussion was? They just asked to do it this way so that we eliminated that 30 days or whatever lag
Right.
time. I think they had even indicated that if the planning commission votes not to move forward with it, that they would probably withdraw their request for this public hearing?
I
Is that
think they would
correct?
still want to come because the planning commission is simply a recommendation, has no legal binding at all on it. So stop me if you don't want to hear it again, but if you throw this out tonight, basically what happens is it goes to planning commission, and you just essentially added 30 more days to their timetable without accomplishing anything that I can see. All you're doing is saying, we will review this and have a public hearing on it next month, and we'll know exactly what the planning commission has said by that time.
And that way you'll find out if there are any objections or not of
Exactly.
the public or whatever.
And I know there are going to be some, and I think that may be what's driving some of the discussion tonight. I know some of you have strong feelings about this, but all we're doing tonight is asking to set the public hearing. I just think you'll be giving them a 30-day delay for no good reason if you don't do it tonight.
Of course, if I may, you know, it sounds a little counterproductive to me to be setting a public hearing and talking about closing a portion of a street that this same group talked about opening up less than a year ago.
Well, is there a plan right now that's sitting out there, Mr. Stuber?
No, there is no plan.
Okay, so
But you know, there's like the Glenwood Railroad crossing got closed years ago. You know, I mean, it would be nice if that was open now, wouldn't it?
it certainly would.
You know, I mean, that's just like this. I mean, you know, if you're going to run around town and close every street that there's no plan to open up.
Well, Mr. Stuber, if I could jump in, if you basically decide before the public hearing, then you've thrown your own process out. I'll admit, I told the applicant from the start this is going to be a high hill to climb for you, but we still have a process, and that includes a public hearing. All we're doing tonight is saying, can we have a public hearing as the state code says next month on this, after the planning commission will have made their recommendation and pass it on to you.
I agree with Mr. Harris. We need to follow a process. Our process is goes to the planning commission, then they make a recommendation to the council, and then we'll consider any public hearing or any issues after that.
I agree with Mr. Harris.
So what's the pleasure, ladies and gentlemen?
Motion and second.
Okay. We had a motion and a second. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Motion was to go ahead with the public hearing and set the public hearing. All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
I heard one nay. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Motion carries. The next item, number 7, new business number 7, consideration of a public hearing and a resolution to apply, accept, and award a grant with the Arkansas Economic Development Commission regarding the Depot Park. I do think Ms. McGuire is here, and the information that I've forwarded around to everybody to sign has to do with this particular item. At this point in time, I would like to go ahead and open the time for public hearing in regard to this action that will be taken. So the item regarding Depot Park is open, and anybody who would like to offer comment regarding the grant for this particular action may come forward and make a statement.
Mayor, I have brought some drawings that I'm more than willing to set up if you all would like to be able to look at those, or if the
All
public
right.
would like to look at those.
Council, would you all like to see a specific rendering of what is proposed with this?
Had we seen those?
Are those the ones that were at the agenda meeting?
Yes.
Yes. Anybody need another view? Okay.
I
All
just
right.
thought they'd be nice in case the public wanted to see them, but
Yeah.
it's at your pleasure.
They will be, go ahead and set them up on the easel or on the back seats back there for public viewing. Anybody want to make any comments in regard to this particular item? Ms. McGuire, I thought you might want to make a comment in regard to it. Maybe you do not.
It'll be a first anyway.
Better than to ask. Thank you, Mayor. You all will be pleased to know that this is an outgrowth of the downtown master plan that you all authorized our organization to develop, that we wrapped up in 2012. In today's mail, I got official notification from West Central Planning and Development District. We've just been awarded $50,000 to do the working documents for this development project. So this is moving forward, step in the right direction. This will be the first time that we've applied for this innovative projects grant option. So we've got our fingers crossed, but we need your blessing before we can actually apply for the grant.
Thank you, ma'am. Just as a matter of reference, there were two legals run in regard to this and announcing the public hearing for this meeting tonight. So, do I hear anything else?
Motion to, or you're.
Is this
I'm
time for us to talk?
I'm going to close the meeting if there's no other comments to be made. Hearing none, the public hearing on this issue is closed, and now we're open for action on the resolution by the commission, by the council.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just so everybody knows, how much is this project gonna cost the city over and above the grants?
I'd like Ms. McGuire to address that.
This current grant does not require a cash match from the city. Obviously, the money that we're looking at from this round of funding will not cover the entire development, but it's like so many things. You start looking at all your options and where you might find funding, and you start layering in all those options, and this is the beginning of that process. But this grant does not require any cash match from the community, or from the city, I should say.
Estimate for this project's about $418,000, is that?
The projected estimate right now is $415,000, I believe.
And the funding on that, do you know how that's proposed to be?
We're going to raise it, baby. We're going to raise it like we did on the depot project.
But what we're doing here is just for the design of it and proceed with the first step. We're not on the hook for any money by doing this.
Well, first you got to get the grant before you even have that
Yeah.
option.
This is just to allow the grant to go forward and meet all the steps that have to be conducted because of where the money comes from for this. And we got to dot the I's and cross the T's.
Yes. And Mr. Tripp, to answer your question directly, that $50,000 that we got from West Central Planning Development is for our working document. And so what we're applying for now is for the start to acquire the additional funds that we're projected or estimated to need to develop this.
So at this point, there is no cost to the city?
Exactly.
Okay, if you get the 200,000 and you really need 400,000, is the city obligated? Is there a time frame for you to use that grant?
You know, I honestly don't know the answer to that.
You don't?
I really don't know the answer to that.
My concern is that the way I've heard it is that if you get the $200,000, that the other 200 plus is going to come from economic development funds. And the way that projects out, that money would not be available until November of 2015. I don't want to see you get caught in a deal where you've got a time frame that you've got to pay for it, and us not have the money.
That's true. That's a good point. It's like so many things that we've done in the past. You know, we haven't taken on things that we didn't think that we could actually follow through with. And I don't say that to make an excuse, but that's the reality of it. But we're well prepared. We've seen the need for this. As I said, it was one of the recommendations and outgrowth from the master plan. We really believe in this project and are willing to do what we need to do to see it carried forward and see it come to completion. It's just, you all are just authorizing us the opportunity to apply for the grant dollars.
I would assume this, and assumptions are sometimes not a good thing, but if there was a caveat that said that the money would have to be raised or whatever within a particular period of time that could not be met, that the grant could be go ahead and denied or not be accepted, if that was going to obligate Main Street for more than they would be able to.
You know, in the past, what we found too is when you are, facing issues like that, sometimes you phase your project out. You complete the portion of your grant that you have the money to fund, and you're able to do that. It's a very similar process that we took with the depot project. I think that's a very real possibility.
I myself am an optimist. So really the only real concern here is looking at ED money, November 2015, is whether or not this grant, if awarded, has some definite time period about when it can be spent. If it doesn't, then we don't really have an issue, do we?
No.
Mr. Irwin, if I may.
So, I mean, if you could determine whether or not there's some time specs on the grant, then, what's the problem there?
I'll be honest with you, gentlemen, and Ms. Harris. If there's a time frame on that, I do know too from past experience with many large grants like this, you have options for extending those time frames as well, especially when they see that your project is moving forward. I'll be honest, you all are asking me some questions that there might be some variables there.
Do you know when if the grant was awarded, do you know when the funding would take place? Mr. Horton made the point that it might not be till, what, Randy, November of
2015 as projected now.
So when would the grant fund, do you know? If you got awarded the grant, do you know when it would fund?
I honestly don't know the answer to that.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what the time frame would be between funding of the grant and then the availability of funds.
Mr. Irwin?
Don't know the answer to that right off my head.
There's a time frame for filing, though, on this one, right?
Yes, there
Yes,
is.
we have till the end of this month. March 31st is our deadline for application.
Mayor, I would like to point out, and I think it was Mr. Martin Irwin's point back in either December or January, when we passed our 7-year projected allocation of the sales tax funds, I think Mr. Martin Irwin pointed out that at any time we could go back and vote to reallocate how those funds are distributed. And so I don't think that's an issue at this point in time.
Well, it may not
Because
be,
it
but
can
I'm
be
saying
raised.
just
We,
based.
by a resolution, by a vote
I
of this
agree.
council, we can change how those funds are distributed
Well,
and when they're distributed.
I agree, but based solely on the current plan, Mr. Horton points out that it's November of 15. And so, and if there's not a time frame on spending the money, then there's really not probably an issue waiting until November 15 when those funds are available to begin to spend it. So,
But if there is an issue, we do
there is
have
an
a
issue.
mechanism.
In the meantime, if it's awarded, we can.
We can
Main
work
Street
toward
can-
that end. We can work toward that end.
Right.
That's correct.
But there are things that can be done besides just hooking the city up, which I don't think's all that bad idea either.
Yeah.
But anyway.
The big concern is that we meet the deadline to get the application in,
Yes.
and that's where we are with this. Any other discussion? Did we have a motion?
Yes.
And a second. Okay. Anything else? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. New number 8, consideration of a resolution establishing a residential anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan. This is one of the requirements that are made whenever you have funding of this nature for insurance that no one will be displaced from this area without having facilities made available to them. It is one of the things that you have to do to cross the T's and dot the I's for the application. So, any motion on that?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? New number 9, consideration of resolution establishing a policy prohibiting the use of excessive force by law enforcement in regard to this particular area. And these are number 8 as well as this number 9 has to do with the same thing, that just states that we will not use excessive force in the area to carry out what we are attempting to do. Do I hear a motion?
To adopt, Your Honor. Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. New number 10, consideration of an ordinance amending ordinances number 1564, 2122, which regulate hunting and the discharge of firearms within the city limits.
Motion to suspend the rules, read by title only with a short explanation for the first reading only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Attorney?
An ordinance amending ordinance numbers 1564 and 2122, the ordinance which regulate hunting and the discharge of firearms within the city limits, lowering the minimum acreage requirement necessary to hunt deer to an official urban deer hunt and for other purposes. This ordinance would amend ordinance numbers 1622 and 1565, with both regard to section 1 of regarding the minimum acreage requirement of 40 acres. It would be 20 acres during the time period whenever there is an officially sanctioned urban deer hunt.
Thank you. New number 11, discussion and or approval to bid or decline to bid the solid waste ordinance and proposal for the hauler. There was some interest in speaking in regard to this particular item also. Do we have any kind of a discussion or recommendation in regard to this?
Your Honor, it is my firm belief, and Ms. Harris or Mr. Moore, you may correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that the Solid Waste Committee's recommendation would be for a competitive bid process.
I think you're absolutely correct. That was my understanding.
That would be the committee's recommendation then.
We have a recommendation to bid this particular process.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Now, I do know that there was a couple or one individual or more, Mr. Wheatley specifically, I know, wanted to speak at this time.
Thank you again, Mayor, members of the council. You know, I didn't even say who I was with. I make the assumption that people know that, but I work for Waste Management. It's actually my 19th year with Waste Management. I'm originally from Magnolia. The 13 years prior to going to work for Waste Management, I was mayor of Magnolia. So I'm acutely familiar with the issues and the demands and the impossibility sometimes of being a local elected official, and my hat is off to each of you. Bear with me for just a moment, because I understand what your recommendation is from your committee. I'm here to talk a little bit about the current program, the history, how we set the program up. And when I say we, I'm talking about the city of Russellville and the haulers who participated in the bid process about 6 years ago. And obviously, I'm hoping to get you to think about voting against that recommendation and voting for renewing your contract with our company, Waste Management. But 6 years ago, there were, and for years and years before that, there were at least 6 independent companies, Waste Management being one, who were operating within the city of Russellville. They were giving the citizens bag trash service, no recycle, that were costing the homeowners $18 to $20 per month, depending on who the provider was. Today, there are 7,000 homes. Each have a 96-gallon trash cart. Each have a 96-gallon recycle cart. One of the most impressive things about the program to me is instead of having all of these trucks running up and down each residential street, each week you have one trash truck, every other week you have one recycle truck running your residential streets. Very much safer, very much an improvement on the condition of your streets. Garbage trucks are not wearing them out. Was it a good decision? We at Waste Management certainly think that was a good decision to privatize your business 6 years ago. Russellville families today are paying $30 to $40 per year less than they were before this. And there's been some conversation about recycling. 1,000 tons of material now per year are recycled out of the city of Russellville. We take a lot of pride in this, and I know the city does as well. Are we a local company? We have 14 employees that live and work here at what we call our Russellville Hauling Company. We're very involved in Russellville, from the Chamber of Commerce to your school activities, to your university activities, to Valley Fest, Downtown Fall Fest, and your annual Christmas parade. In fact, we provide free trash service to Ms. McGuire's organization, and proud to be able to do that. Do we invest our money in Russellville? Our local spend is $185,000 per month. We spend $138,000 per month, or $1.7 million per year inside this market right here in Polk County, here in Russellville. If you use the old axiom of 7 times, rolling a dollar 7 times to create economic value, the economic value of our spend, Waste Management spend here in Russellville, is $12 million a year, over $1 million per month. We're pleased and proud of the contract that we have with you guys. We've had a good working relationship not only with the city, we've had a good working relationship with Citicorp. Are we a partner? We certainly feel like we are. In the new proposed contract, it says the contractor will be responsible for programming charges that may take place in the billing. We have tens of thousands of dollars invested in the programming that we put in with Citicorp back at the beginning of this contract. We think the billing now is virtually perfect. It's going very well. We're here to tell you that we will hold our price exactly where it is. If the council and if this contract says that we need to take our recyclables to Clarksville, to that solid waste district, we'll be glad to do that. I will tell you that we're a huge supporter of this solid waste district in the fees that we collect at our landfill that we disperse to this district to the tune of $15,000 per month. In the last 25 months, by the way, the district has received checks from us through the fee system of over $344,000. Again, we're very we're very deep-rooted here in Russellville. We're very involved in Russellville. We want to continue that. We think we've got a good program, and we urge you to give us another shot. Thank you, sir. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Anybody have any questions? Mr. Wheatley?
Mayor, I don't have any questions, but I would like to say that my opinion is that Waste Management has been a good community partner for the most part over the 5 years, and I think there were some learning curves from what I remember personally and some things to overcome, but I think between Mr. Moore's job through the program administrator for the city and Mr. Whitley and others, I think we have a good program going today. But I do feel like if we don't bid it out, that we're kind of shortchanging the residents because we're actually spending their money, by doing this.
I agree. I think the contract itself is, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a big deal for Waste Management. It's a big deal for any hauler that gets it. There's nothing like competition in the free enterprise system. And, I think for us to ignore or cast aside the opportunity for other companies, any other company, all other companies to engage in a competitive bidding system that the outcome of which benefits, as Mr. Tripp said, the citizens of Russellville. And I just don't think there's any other action to take.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir. Good time.
How many cities that have contracts with various haulers, at the end of their contract, what percent of the city rebids them, and what percentage roughly negotiates with the existing contractor? Either or both. I'm just curious.
I don't know the percentage exactly, Mr. Stuber.
Roughly.
But I would say of the contracts I've dealt with over the past 18 years, 85 to 90% have renewed. We write every contract, or we hope to get every contract written, whereby it has the clause in there that it can be renewed. By the way, this contract does have that clause.
Right.
And Mr. Irwin, I absolutely agree with you. On the other hand, we are severely disadvantaged because it's our numbers out there.
Well, you're right about that, but you know as well as I do that number that's out there had lots of variables attached to it 5 years ago that may or may not be now, maybe more, maybe less, and I appreciate what you're saying. I just don't think it's the way. Just don't believe that it's. I don't think it's the way municipal government does business. I don't think that we ought to just renew. I think we ought to. I don't think the public wants us to renew, to tell you the truth. And I can say that from the people who I've spoken to about it, they all believe that the competitive bidding is the way to do it. And my position is, Mr. Wheatley, I just think that that's the prudent thing to do. So,
If I might interject, is there anyone else here in the audience that wants to speak in regard to this particular item? If you'll step to the microphone, please, and state your name. Thank you.
Sam Kroom, live up on Huntington Cove area, and I fully support Mr. Irwin's position on this. I believe free enterprise is the only way to go. Let's keep it open for open bids. It's the only fair way to go.
Thank you, sir. Council, anybody here? We do have a motion and a second.
Let me make one comment.
All right.
I mean,
Certainly.
just so I make it, and then I'll shut up. But,
You're good.
you know, I guess different people have, I guess I run with different people than Mr. Irwin because, you know, the people that's talked to me about it, you know, they seem to think we've got a good thing going. One older gentleman, and, well, I say older, he probably ain't no older than I am. But, you know, he sarcastically said, you know, you got a good thing going on there, so you really need to try to fix it. You know, so,
Well,
Okay.
now I do have something to say.
Very good.
Okay, being on the committee here, we will continue to have a good thing going on. The rules won't change. The trash will be picked up as other people have. The only difference is I hope that people see, if there is a change at all, might be a color of a can. Other than that, everything else, Mr. Stuber, we didn't change anything about this to make anything different about it. You know, we might have loosened up, I thought, a little bit on bundling, which might make it a little better, and then opening up the office here in town. And other than that, we are satisfied with waste management. I think the city is satisfied with waste management. But, you know, I agree that we should just, you know, give it a bid and, you know, you can rebid, Mr. Wheatley, you know, and just like anyone else can bid. But, you know, I think, and I know the committee's worked. We've given everybody compliments, and I'm very pleased. I worked on that first committee, and believe me, people, it was hell. It was really hell. It was hard. But this time, it's not, because we have taken the trucks off the street. It will continue that way with weekly routes, and I feel really good that we're doing the right thing. And there may be changes. There may not be changes. Time and bids will tell us.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Before we take the vote, I'm just going to say one thing, that there were some people that came in subsequent to the start of the meeting, and there had been a comment or two made in the past regarding somebody who might want to say something that did not have the opportunity to. So we will go ahead and take our vote on this particular item, and then I want to pause a moment to see if there is someone who has some other comment to make before we adjourn. So I just want to be clear about that. Any other discussion on this motion before we vote? All those in favor of the proposal that was made to bid this, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I heard no opposition. So the motion passes. Now, anybody else have anything to say for the good of mankind in Russellville? Yes, Mr. Moore.
I would like to take just one moment to thank the members of the committee that worked with us as we move forward and go into the future. I think that you've all done a great job. I think all of the people, the employees and people that are involved in this will continue to work hard to make it a good thing for the citizens. I just wanted to say thank you all.
Thank you, Bruce. And the truth of the matter is that the person to be thanking is Bruce Moore, because he has gone above and beyond to make this system work. And Bruce, you've done a fine job, and I commend you for it.
Mr.
I'll have to second that.
Also, you know, Waste Management has to be given credit because they've done a tremendous job also to make this a successful program.
Yes. That's correct. I would, at this point in time, entertain that last motion.
Motion to adjourn, please.
All right. Thank you, one and all. Good evening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You